engineering yet, so we could possibly extend that, or that would be one, as I mentioned earlier, that could fit in well with the capital project that Alderman Larson had asked about just general roadway safety improvements.
The GB 175.
Yeah.
Okay. So just want to throw that out there. I've been getting requests on that.
Yeah, it's definitely on our radar, and one that we want to keep an eye on too as the casino moves to open, and there's all those improvements up in that area that we think that one might ultimately trigger a warrant as well.
Okay, and then the CIP for Molitor Church, GB 166 is not included. I think this was last year and this year. Is there any? Is there a reason that's dropping out, or is this a late change or carryover? So it's GB 166 from last year and this year.
Oh yeah, I don't see that. Yeah, it goes right from 165 to 167. We can follow up.
2024, yeah. There was 200,000, and then this year there was 575, I believe. So
yeah, I would have thought at a minimum. I would have thought maybe we did a carryover, but we can check on that one.
Okay, that'd be great. I don't want to lose that.
It's a carryover. Yeah, the funds from this year were carried over.
Okay, so that'll be included in the. Okay. Do we still include the CIP sheet though? Would you add that back in?
That'll be included with the final publication.
Okay. All right. Great. And then you answered the question on the Butterfield Route 56. So and part of GB 175. Okay. And then another question I have is for what was the cost for the master plan for Garfield Park, ballpark, for the master plan?
I believe the preliminary engineering that's been done to date has only totaled about $15,000-ish to get to the point where, with those drawings that you've seen, we did a lot of work in-house previously on that as we were working towards the grants. But then we hired a consultant to actually help us with the master plan and the final design. And again, I think to date has only been in that $15,000 range.
Okay. And then, let's see. Well, and then I just wanted to comment on Garfield Park for Alderman Bug. Are you Bug?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So this came up at a different meeting. We were discussing pursuing a second grant for OSLAD. So this is just so the committee can know, because it's going to go to COW next. So I'm not sure. Just wanted to make sure everybody's on the same page. So originally, I was thinking that this was something that could be postponed because it was being split into two different pieces. The original project was like 4.3 million, and there was just a lot of more questions. But we had a meeting earlier today and sorted it out that the project can be split into two phases, and it would not be disruptive or impede upon getting the whole project done. So just wanted to get information on that so that we could have a game plan together. And I'm very appreciative of that plan to be able to do it in two different phases and not be disruptive or anything like that, and not jeopardize the grant that we've already been awarded last year from OSLAD.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Sure.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. Alderman Bug.
Thank you. So I will just continue on to Alderman Larson's question and point on the fencing in Ward 5, and it's part of what I brought up before regarding SSA 24. As a city, we need to be consistent with our protocols and policies. So our policy for SSA 24 and those residents for their fencing has it that they have paid into an SSA for the last 20 plus years. That fence is not a part of their quote unquote HOA. It is on the other side of the street and separates basically their area from the railroad tracks. And basically, I guess if we would go back 25 years, we would have had the railroad be totally in control of that fence. But that is not the case. That HOA is 100% in charge of funding the repair and replacement of that fence through that SSA. So I understand there were negotiations in Ward 5. Of course, Alderman Franco was very much involved in that and talking to those residents and trying to get a plan there. And I don't have one way or the other on what's going on in Ward 5. However, in the future and looking at our past practice, we do need to be consistent. So if you're going to ask some residents to pay for a fence, and this fence isn't nearly as long as Ward 5's, it's between 1/3 of a mile and 1/2 a mile. So not nearly as long as Orchard Road, of course, but kind of the same premise. So, just that needs to be in our minds that we need to be consistent with the way we ask residents and HOAs to fund projects. And I'll leave that there. My next question is on 1018, page 1018, the Montgomery and Hill intersection improvement. I see some of the funding sources down in the bottom. It doesn't say an exact amount that Kane County paid. And really, I wonder, why Kane County isn't more involved, since actually they have 3/4 of this intersection and we have 1/4.
I believe we have half, they have one leg, and then the state has one leg. I think we own the north leg and the east leg, and I believe the county is the west leg and the state is the south leg.
The northeast leg is not incorporated into the city yet. That's county property.
Yeah, but even just because the property isn't incorporated, when we annexed anything on the other side of the roadway, we annexed to the far side of the road. So since we own the northwest corner, we automatically take over that ownership to the east side of the roadway.
Okay, yeah, I remember that old premise. Yeah. Okay. So Kane County has 1/4, state has 1/4, and we have half.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have the exact number, or can we put in the exact number down below that Kane County paid in? I see MFT, I see grant federal, I see MFT rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Then MFT, we have the exact number that Kane County paid.
Yeah, we can dig into that. I'm not exactly sure if they were contributing to the construction, but we'll dig into that one. We can let you know.
It says they contributed in on phase 1.
Yeah, but that was a previous year, so I don't know, because this is only looking at 26 forward.
Right, I understand.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can get you the number, but I just don't know if maybe we could put it in the text or something.
Right. And you say at this point, since it's going to be mostly an IDOT reimbursement, I mean, we kind of don't per se mess with Kane County anymore.
Yeah, I'd have to look back and see what the agreement stated when that one came through a number of years ago, to what that outlined what their contribution was going to look like. But that's something that I can easily dig up and get back to you on.
Okay. And lastly, and going all the way through this, and I tried to pick up every project. Do we at least have a form? Has at least been added the Wolves Crossing bike trail? Since of course this is 26 through 2035. Have we put any loose numbers together and added this to our long-term plan? The Wolves Crossing bike trail, that's of course led by Will County Forest Preserve, but we are going to be involved in it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we've seen any official numbers yet with the Phase 1 engineering results. We were expecting to see something move forward with Phase 2. And usually by the time you would work into Phase 2 and they look towards doing that contract, we should have a better number by the time they finish the Phase 1 and get us those results. So that will be forthcoming.
Okay. I didn't know if you could put it in here as an anticipation of, but yeah, we know it's for the future, and we're going to be pledging some ward funds. Well, I see a little bit of it here on 1028. Okay, thank you.
Okay. If you don't mind asking questions, we'll come back to you.
Sure.
Thank you. Mastodon Lake, it's great to see that it's in here for the third ward. It's been something we've been waiting for since pre-COVID. Obviously, the price has gone up at least 2 times, if not, of what 3 times what the original estimate was and the resolution we passed. Just a little bit on Garfield Park. My understanding, you had the whole park circled, but you're not working on the baseball fields, correct?
Yeah, not right now. That would probably be like a further phase even down the road outside of the
Okay.
master plan. So the
All
ball
right.
fields are going to remain for the time being.
Okay. I'm going to say something that I said as well when it first came before us a few years ago. It'd probably be prudent to speak to those legacy families that are still around, Andrews and Dolan as well, before any modifications are made to, out of, I think, just pure respect.
Sure.
As well, and courtesy. Farnsworth and Ogden, what's the realities of that moving forward next year?
It'll move forward from an engineering standpoint. We're going to continue to try and find funding opportunities for it. And that one could be a very good candidate for congestion mitigation and air quality improvements, the CMEC program. So that's the goal, is to start the Phase 1 engineering so that we can apply for those types of funds. So because they are those pricey projects, it's great if we can get that 80% funded by the feds if it's eligible.
Because as you know, and I keep forwarding the messages from the Third Ward residents, if not out there, Summerlin and even Mystic Creek, they can't wait. They're itching for the improvements to come through, even from the developer. So, and then explain to me a little bit about New York and Galena 2A. I was on city council, I don't know how many years ago, but I was a younger alderman, and we voted to make them one-way. So what's the rationale behind making them 2-way at this point moving forward?
Yeah, I didn't even know that
Wasn't that
they
part of
were,
it?
I thought they were one way for, I mean, we've done some decouplings.
Or did we,
today.
I got my streets mixed up?
Yeah, we uncoupled Galena and Downer west of town. That might have been close to that time frame. That project was maybe 2014 or 2015 where we started those 2-way conversions.
Okay.
And just the overall flow in the downtown from a business standpoint and just overall traffic flow, the 2-way conversion makes sense. It's going to help traffic on Broadway too by not having the phased timing on the signals.
Because my understanding was slow people down a little bit, focus on our downtown, going through downtown back when we made some of those one-ways.
Yeah, we've got other ways to slow people down, and with both of those projects, we'll look at bump outs or strategically, making sure that there's narrower lanes in some spot. I mean, we don't want it to be a freeway, but I think most people would tell you that westbound New York right now kind of operates that way. So I think when you actually turn that one back into one lane in each direction, I think you might see more of a traffic calming rather than 2 cars zipping side by side down the street.
Because it wasn't popular when we made those one-ways from Third Ward residents. I heard it pretty clearly, but they understood the rationale. And some of those residents are no longer, the nuns at the convent at Our Lady of Good Counsel are no longer there, but they were part of that group that had a concern too. But
Mhm.
just trying to get overall understanding of why we're probably trying to do it two ways now.
Yeah, well, and also since everything east of Broadway is two-way, you kind of it kind of gets a little confusing. You know, if you're coming westbound on Galena, you get to a point where you get to Broadway, now you have to go north on Broadway to get to New York to continue going west. And it's just not,
Okay.
it doesn't work out well. And all the modeling we've shown shows that it's going to be an improvement. It's going to improve all the various signals from an operations standpoint.
I just want to know if there was a policy being put forward, some bit more rationale. But and we can discuss it, I guess, more when it comes before us
Sure.
as a resolution down the road for next year. I guess I'm all through with that from my end. Alderman Franco, you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to comment on what Alderman Bugg said about the sound barrier. Spot on, you're absolutely right. It's a consistency and it's an equity issue. And when we were doing this project, and Kane County was putting in over $1 million, their desire was to have an SSA because they wanted some buy-in, because they have a number of roads in Kane County that people are going to want a sound barrier on because there's traffic all over, and they didn't have the money to pay for all this, so an SSA was something they desired. The city also desired that and I did too, because we do have people in the city that are paying for improvements through SSAs, and why wouldn't the Fifth Ward people who already have a free fence that wants to improve to a sound barrier, why wouldn't they have to basically have some skin in the game too? So that's kind of what that was. And we had at one time, things have changed a little bit, we had gotten it down, thankfully, down to 2% of the cost for the residents, which was great, unheard ofly great, but it was still an SSA. So that's kind of why we were doing that, because it's not fair for our people to not pay and people throughout the city to pay. So Alderman Bugg, I'm with you, and I would still push for that. That's still my desire, because that's the right thing to do for an improvement. So I don't know why that's like that, but I'm still pushing for that because I just think it's the right thing to do. And my constituents, when they found out how low it was going to be, they were on board with it too, because we got to a factor that was a little bit lower. So I just want to throw that out there, because that's really the history of that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
If there aren't any further questions of the committee for Mr. Director Bauer, we can move on to the next section, which is late changes. Ms. Peterson, is that you?
Stacy Peterson, Chief Financial Officer. Basically, what's also attached to this agenda is, item is the carryover and late change schedule. Basically as a reference for you to have a little bit more time to look at it. This will be finalized to bring a proposed revised budget on the 20th. We are still currently reviewing up until that time to make sure that everything is accurate. And if need be, we will make changes to these schedules. So basically, I would open it up to any questions that you might have in regards to these. The late change schedule, after we brought the proposed budget to you, we have been working with the mayor's office to review and make adjustments. You can see that some of the decrements that we might have had in the original budget that was presented to you has been adjusted, and those notes are noted along the side of the report.
Okay. Just one little thing for me, a little cleanup before I open it up to my colleagues here too. I did make reference to the fact that we have salaries that are between two departments. You know, like we had one that was in the alderman's office. The alderman's office paid for partial salary. If we can clean those types of things up for transparency, make sure that every department full salaries are reflected in each department and not split up moving forward. I never understood that one for long term, if that makes sense.
Yes, we can review that. There are some positions that salaries are separated because some of them oversee proprietary funds. So we would still need to allocate that just for financial purposes. And we usually do that, like the superintendent of facilities. They oversee like a lot of all of our buildings for which are paid for out of the general fund, some of those expenses there, but then also there are other funds like motor vehicle and transit center that they also are allocated to. So those we would still continue to have those allocated.
Okay, well, I'd like to be as clear as possible for the community. I think that's the best way to go. I think it's the best policy too, when it's all said and done. But I said my piece on that one for this year. So with that said, with that said, I might come back later, but I know Alderman Franco has questions. He says for this section of the budget discussion. So
Yes.
I'll open it up to you.
Thank you. So, couple of things. Let's go to the revenue portion. We're looking at repayment from Alliance. There's the third one down under the late changes under revenues. Can we explain what this whole Alliance thing is kind of baffling to me. So I just want to know, when they pay us money back, what does that mean? How is that happening, and why are they doing that? So whoever can answer that'd be great.
Alderman Franco, that'd probably be me. Brian Caputo, Director of Operations. We are in negotiations with Alliance to unwind that organization and move to a more traditional arrangement where we have a Chamber of Commerce and an internal economic development operation. We have not come to consummation on those negotiations, but I think originally we had paid them $3 million. Not all that money has been spent, so this is just an estimate of what would be coming back to us. So that's what that $2 million, the $2 million is, that actually it's being allocated between $1 million to the transformation fund, and then $1 million to the gaming tax fund, and that I think $1 million coming back from the gaming tax fund would be paired with gaming money to give $2 million to ACCA. So that's how that's all kind of tied together.
Okay. And then, number 5, gaming tax wagering. We went from budgeted 5.25 to an additional 3 million. So I think I know why this is. So is this a projection that if they open next summer, that for half the year, we think we'll make an additional 3 million for that year? Is that how we got that 3 million?
Stacy might be able to comment more on this, but we got some projections essentially from economic development.
Yeah, because I thought originally too, in the original budget, it was $500,000, which I thought was low. Half a year, when we projected to be $8 or $10 million more overall per year, figured that half of that would be about $3 to $4 million. So I'm just wondering, is that how we got there from the $500,000 to the 3 million?
Yes.
Okay.
And then also I'd like to add, just as a point for casino revenue, several years ago there was a report that was provided to the City Council, which would show what revenue we would get on a monthly basis, and also the document that was attached was showing you how the Aurora Casino performs based on all the other state casinos. When COVID hit, that report obviously went away because there were $0 coming in. So staff is working on bringing that back so that you have that as a reference on a monthly basis as well.
Because thank you, because for me, that seemed more appropriate, that number, as opposed to the $500,000, because one would think if we projected 8 to 10 million, and your first 6 months when you open up something like that should be your best 6 months probably, because it's excitement thing. So I'm glad to see that in there, because I think that's more appropriate. And then if we were to go to the late changes under expenses. So number 149, other SC special programs, we went from 2 million to 6 million up to 8 million. Could somebody explain exactly what that is?
Yes, that is, okay.
Transformation fund.
Yes, that is for a program that the mayor would like to institute, a community and economic development lending bank. It would include also some SSA capitalization, and I see Shannon has stepped up and she can elaborate.
Shannon Kimmer, Chief of Staff. So we're looking to create basically 3 groups of lending potential out of these funds. For the hope is to bring lower than market rate for our small businesses, for our PACE lending, for other sorts of lending, and it would fill back in. So as we're lending money out at hopefully even like an SSA, for example, Alderman Buggs Wall, what we could do is that has to be, or the Sound Wall and Orchard has to be financed in some way because those are big costs, right? Offering financing at a lower rate, and then that is fairly guaranteed, and then it cycles back in that fund. So we continually have funds that we can give out to our small businesses. We could fund SSAs through that. We could also fund housing opportunities for our community, as we know that's a #1 issue in our community, at a lower market rate is the hope through it being sort of a public bank.
Okay, that explains that. Gaming tax funds, number 152. Gaming tax funds went from 0 for the initial budget, changed to $2 million to facilitate attrition of retired sworn personnel. So we're putting in $2 million to keep police officers. Is that how I read that? I mean, in
So
essence.
it's basically in order to be able to attrit those officers. So throughout the year, we're going to, it's allowing, instead of to do a hard layoff as people are retiring, it allows them to meet their retirement date. But it covers us as a one-time coverage to allow for attrition. But if I did not cover that correctly, Dr. Caputo can continue.
I think you got the lion's share of it there, Shannon. One part of it is that we're estimating rough estimates on what will attrit over the course of the year. Those positions have been eliminated. So what we're doing is essentially double slotting some of those individuals that are attriting out over the course of 2026. And this is money that has been transferred in, again, as a one-time initiative to try to is to kind of ease the situation and let those officers stay on, sworn officers, fire and police, stay on and attrit out over the course of 2026. That's our rough estimate of what we think it will cost. The positions themselves are gone though, but we've transferred in resources to cover their salaries and compensation and other compensation throughout the course of the year.
Okay. And then 153, gaming tax again. Other special programs, could we talk about what that might be?
So that number was?
153, it's right, yeah, so I just, yeah, one was 152, this one's 153.
Yes, that's,
Yep.
thank you. That is the payment we anticipate making to ACA. We talked about earlier, 1 million of that coming from the payback from Alliance, and 1 million coming out of the additional gaming tax funds that we anticipate.
Oh, so that 2 million that I talked about before, this is the 2 million, okay, I hadn't connected those dots, okay, good. All right, thank you, I appreciate that, that's all the questions I had.
Okay, all right. Alderman Keith Larson,
I don't have any questions at this time.
all right. Alderman Dambrou.
Yeah, I got one last question. Circling back from last year, I had some concerns regarding museum grants. And so I noticed there's a change here in the 2026 budget under the line item. It's not under capital projects, but it's relative to late changes. So I just wanted to circle back on the warming centers. So I thought there was different numbers floating around of 250,000, 200,000. We just awarded less than 200,000. So what is that number for next year?
So in the 2026 budget, it's still at 250,000 because we're hoping to go to a non-congregate shelter model. That will not be the whole cost of going to a more permanent non-congregate shelter, but we're hoping to find funding from a variety of other sources, including going out to the continuums of care, all the different counties, getting some private funding, grant money, things like that to make that happen.
Okay, so.
So that's what's currently in there, and it's out of gaming taxes.
Okay. So anyway, my question is, what was the previous, because last year, I think that's when the museums were cut, and I was hoping to get them back to where they were previously, and then.
So we did increase, I believe, the museums. I don't have that in front of me right now. In gaming taxes, we did increase the amounts going to that and the Historical Society, I believe. I can send that over to you all exactly, since I don't have it right in front of me, but happy to do that. But this year, the amount, first year was 44, we ended up doing 81,000 to the warming shelter over the course of 24 and 25. And this year, the total is 136 between 25 and 26. So we won't, but we're also then prepping for the next fall, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Right, I was just trying to see if there was some.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was additional money moved. I know that was something we heard from various aldermen that they wanted, and so we tried to put that in. But I'll give you those exact numbers over.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, Alderman Bug.
No, I am all good. Thank you.
All right, just one more question, or actually just an update for us, if you would, Ms. Peterson. You have mentioned on record that your goal is to eliminate our $6 million line of credit. Can you tell us how that works into this budget and into the near future with eradicating that per your interest?
Currently, right now, I have staff looking at the line of credit, and also we did have the 2022 bonds that were issued that paid off the third line of credit. Looking at that to see if there is other proceeds that can be used to pay down that line of credit, hoping to do that as much as possible in 2025, and then looking forward to 2026. I would prefer not to renew the line of credit, but until we get further into the year to determine how we're revenue-wise and what's available, we will look to eventually close out that line of credit.
So probably have a better update by mid-year.
Yes.
Any budget amendment in the summer.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Okay. So I guess if there are any other questions, I know I mentioned late changes, but we went to carryovers. Any other questions in regards to those late changes?
Just had one.
Sure, Alderman Barrett.
So when the budget was presented, we were a negative 2.1 million. So is these late changes address that? And can you explain how and where we're at now?
Currently, if you take the original budget that was presented October 15th, incorporating the late changes, we are at $618,882 as a surplus. And then that's just general fund. And then when you take the carryovers, the general fund, the difference between the revenues and expenditures, it's a deficit of $3,179,161.
We are planning an update, a final update roundup on Thursday, correct?
Yes, on Thursday, we will have the final revised proposed budget, along with any updated carryovers or late change schedule that needs to be incorporated. We will also in addition to that, be discussing the tax levy and the abatement.
Okay, so realistically, you're probably making changes till the last, or as close as possible to the last minute. When can you get us an update, hard copy update, meaning on, I mean, at least on our Granicus or in an email?
Currently, the Granicus line item for the agenda for the 20th has these, both the carryover and late change schedule incorporated into it. So that is as of
The reason I'm asking is I'm figuring you're going to keep
17th.
working and making adjustments. I don't think you're just going to go home tonight and just say, put your feet up and say, we're finished. So we're gonna
No,
post it on
we're
Thursday.
still
Right,
reviewing it.
yeah. So I don't mean it in a bad way, but. or I mean, I'm
From a
saying-
mayor's office perspective, Chairman, we're pretty much finished. And maybe just to put a little bit of color on this, that the carryovers, while, I mean, are important and interesting, they kind of offset with revenues that are not being spent in the current year. So that's kind of so when you take the carryovers out, the figure, I think, was somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 to the positive in the general fund. But where did that come from? It came from the transfer in of that gaming tax money of $2 million, because it's there to offset the attrition of the sworn police and fire. So what that means is you got to kind of subtract that in a sense to try to understand really overall where you're at. So that means a deficit of roughly 1.25 million, which is a long way, a lot of progress from where the CFO started. And when we started talking about this with $30 million, $29 million. So there's a lot of work that's been done. The staff, I think, needs to be commended for a lot of very difficult work to have gotten to this point, as well as the elected officials that have been along the way and giving us input, and we very much appreciate that. So I think there's a lot of, just say a lot of great work has been done to get us to this place, and I think the city is very, very close now to a structurally balanced budget, a place to embark for the future. There's still going to be some work that needs to be done going into 27, but the heavy lifting has been done.
Alderman Barrero? We can wait if you need 10 seconds.
I was just trying to look it up, and maybe it's in here. The salt dome, was that a part of the late changes, the removal of it? Is that in here?
We can go back and double check that.
Yeah, because that might help with, you know, if you can put another project from capital into that might help out as well. Into the MFT.
So he's thinking about the third ward, another project for the park, right? Is that it? I'll put a plug in there. Okay.
The salt dome was moved, it's line item 150 on the late change schedule to 2027.
I guess there's no extra money for the third ward. Okay.
I don't have any further
Oh,
questions.
all right, okay. Is there anything else would you like to discuss, Ms. Peterson?
Not at this time.
No? Okay. Alderman Bug, any last minute questions or thoughts? Parting thoughts?
No, I think everyone is very happy that we are coming near the end, and everyone has done excellent work. So looking forward to wrapping this up.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster type of process even before this committee started looking at the budget. So it's quite interesting how to see how we got to being here on the front lines with my colleagues on the finance committee, how we've gotten to this point. But I'm looking forward to your presentation. The next meeting is Thursday, I believe. What time, clerk, are we meeting on Thursday? 3 o'clock. You're going to have a presentation for us, rounding things up. If there's anything that you can provide us beforehand, it'd be greatly appreciated to update us, even the day of, on our docket. I think our clerk here, or Chief Jacobs, pretty adept to getting us the information and making sure that we have an opportunity to look at it if we're notified, so if at all possible. But nonetheless, with that said, if there's no other questions or items for discussion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Alderman Franco, second by Alderman Dan Barrero. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned at 2:27 p.m. Thank you, one and all.